You know Gray Bar for electrical parts, but there's one more thing you may not be thinking of us for that can help maximize your next project's total value. Our pre-project planning services are designed to help you win the bid, save on labor costs, and keep your installers productive across your entire build. The sooner you call us, the better. Because when we're there from the beginning, we can anticipate your needs and help you solve problems before they become problems. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Back in our familiar surroundings, 1,600 miles or so apart and 2 time zones separated, it is time for another edition of the Show Before the Show podcast, the official podcast of minor league baseball, in which once again I gaze through a screen and through the magic of technology into the bearded face of Sam Dykstra and Benjamin Hill. Dudes, what's going on?
Yeah, the bearded face. We have one face. We've merged.
Well, I was just going to say Sam, and then I was like, Ben's got a beard too. I should throw both faces in there.
Well, that's also because I just jumped into the screen at the last second. You really were only staring.
I was only looking at Sam's.
And then I brought mine in. Yeah.
And can I just say, Tyler, your beard is looking beautiful today.
What a guy.
Let's just get that out of the way nice and early.
2 episodes in a row. I got called beautiful by my co-host.
Tyler is a beautiful man. Yes, we should.
Incredible stuff. Huge thanks to Anthony Corona as well on Blue Sky for picking up on my need to be called beautiful, which is something that we established that I apparently need as of last week. So now, all of you, if anyone wants to weigh in and call me beautiful, or any other word that makes me feel less physically repulsive, those are always nice. So we welcome you into this week's episode of the Show Before the Show podcast, the official podcast of minor league baseball, as we round the turn through mid-May. Coming up on the start of, feels like the official start of summer for a lot of places around the country where kids will be getting out of school soon, and minor league ballpark crowds grow and the promotions get wackier, and we have all kinds of fun across the country. You can get in touch with us, podcast at MILB.com, if you would like to, throw in your thoughts on your regular minor league routine once summer fully gets here. We got an email last week. We were talking about cats and cat-related things at the ballpark because Ben went to take me out to the ball game in Omaha. And we got an email from listener John McKay, who gave us some cat names that he thought of. Sean Meowfree for Sean Murphy. And then he just threw in Andre Scalaraga, one of my childhood heroes, because his nickname was the Big Cat, El Gato Grande.
I wish I had thought of Andre Scalaraga. That one was just sitting there.
Do you guys have any cat names to add?
I know. I should have spent some more time thinking of more cat names.
How about Joey Siamese? Siamese? Never mind.
Who are you going for?
What's that supposed to be about?
He's going for Joey Meneses.
Never mind.
Siameses.
No, okay. See, this is why you have to swing big.
Yeah.
To hit the home runs, and sometimes you strike out.
Sometimes you strike out.
I'm the one out here taking the risks.
I'm the one taking. Yes, that's what you're doing, Ben. Weekly basis.
Yeah. I should have spent some more time thinking about maybe like Bo Scratchette, Bo Bichette, Bo Scratch, like cat scratch fever.
Yeah, but why?
Sam gave me this look like, no.
Where's the scratch coming from? There's no.
That's what cats do. They scratch everything.
I get that, but why Bo Bichette?
Because he's got a CH in his last name.
Oh, that's all it takes.
All right, whatever. We're done talking cats, Sam. Fine.
Wait, what about Paul Goldschmidt? Just Paul. P-A-W.
Oh, Paul. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah.
That applies to a lot of different animals, too.
But this also brings me to one of the internal controversies of the Show Before the Show, is that when this email address was set up, podcast at MILB.com, I wasn't on it, and I still do not have access.
You were not a full-fledged host at that point.
And you guys often withhold emails from me, such as this cat one. I would have come on with better material. Instead, I was left to flail because no one thought, like, oh, we should forward then.
Exactly.
I'm going to solve this afternoon.
That was our whole aim. We were like, we're going to withhold the cat puns from Ben. That was our whole goal with that. And obviously, Sam and I did a great job spending our days thinking of cat names because we came out with some bangers. You haven't even thrown one out there, Sam. Yeah, you can't just
I'm sorry.
come
I'm the
after.
one who did Catfish Hunter last week.
Come on.
You guys all had your opportunities originally.
Catfish. It's a fish, Sam. His name
It's not
isn't Cat Hunter.
Is it? I guess it is. Yeah.
All right, whatever. Well, thanks for hanging out with us. And if you too have your own cat related things or just anything else you want to get in touch with, as long as it's not directed to Ben, podcast at MLB.com. No, Sam said he's going to get that fixed later today. I wonder if Jake Signer still has access to that. We should see if RIP Jake, if he's got any thoughts on this cat related doings here, or mewings here. All right, let's get started on this week's episode of the show before the show. And one of my favorite columns that has ever been churned out of the MILB framework, all the way back to my days as a radio guy, is Crooked Numbers, which is a Ben Hill special. And Ben's got a new edition of Crooked Numbers up. Crooked Numbers, Ben, we haven't talked about a Crooked Numbers yet this season, I don't believe. So for new listeners of the podcast, break down what Crooked Numbers is and means.
Yeah, it's minor league baseball on field oddities, absurdities, strange accomplishments, unprecedented events. And it's back in 2025 on a monthly basis. I've taken some years off through the years, but it goes back to at least like 2009 writing this column. And its origins were way back in my early part-time days. My coworker Jason and I, Jason Ratliff, we still sit next to each other all these years later. We would just, well, it was before Slack, we would IM each other just like weird stuff that was happening in minor league baseball, like absurd things. And we would just be like, put it in the column, put it in the column, put it in the column. And it was just like this joke on IM, and then finally it was like, okay, let's do the column. And when I started it, I would always, especially when I would have segments on my blog and I could be a little more informal, I was always being like, Jason Stark, this is for you. Jason Stark, I used to read your stuff in the Philadelphia Inquirer. I loved your take on weird baseball events, and now I'm doing it in the minor leagues. I wrote him several real heartfelt emails, and he never acknowledged me. And I eventually got over it. And here we are today. It's not so much about impressing Jason Stark anymore, although of course I'd be happy to impress Jason Stark. But now it's just a thing I do. Minor league baseball, weird stuff. And if you see anything weird happen at a minor league baseball game, email me, benjamin.hill@mlb.com. And in the April edition, we're already into mid-May, but let's talk about some weird things that happened in April. Do you guys remember last year when Edwarky Fernandez of the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers stole 5 bases in a game without getting a hit?
Yes.
Yeah. He did that last year, and the only person who ever done that in Major League history. It's, of course, hard to find in minor league history definitive things, but the only person who done that in Major League history was Ricky Henderson. 5 stolen bases, no hits. Well, this year, another player playing for a Wisconsin team in the High A Midwest League one-upped Edwarky Fernandez. Marion Boyd. Is it Marion? I had never Marion or Marion Boyd.
Oh, Marion Boyd.
Marion Boyd.
Yeah.
Of the Beloit Skycarp stole 6 bases on April 9th without getting a hit. He went 0 for 1 in the box score. But he had a fielder's choice in the first, walked in the 5th, and was hit by a pitch in the 7th, reached first base on all 3 of those, and in each of those 3 occasions, he stole 2nd and 3rd. So pretty impressive to go 0 for 1, steal 6 bases. Marion Boyd. And that was his second career 6 stolen base game, but in that one, he went 1 for 3 in his first one. How about this game? We might have mentioned it before. Also on April 9th, Dunedin Blue Jays 19, Jupiter Hammerheads 5. The Blue Jays won on the strength, quotes maybe, 22 walks. 22 walks. They scored 19 runs on 22 walks. Every player in the Dunedin lineup, except one, walked at least twice. But the craziest fact about this game, our nighttime coworker, colleague, Michael Avalon pointed this out. You know who walked the most times in that game? Not a member of the team that walked 22 times total. Jupiter Hammerheads leadoff man Starlin Caba. walked 5 times. So you had the other team walk 22 times, but none of those players walked as much as Starlin Caba,
I
who
did.
walked 5
There
times.
were some clips from the broadcast of that game that went viral. I think Awful Announcing maybe he posted them. I feel so bad for the folks who had to call a game that featured, and this is according to Mike's game recap, 437 pitches, 32 walks, 4 hit batsmen, 3 pitch clock violations, and a balk. And still, all of it only took 3 hours and 39 minutes. But like, oh, that is torture. And
Yeah.
you could hear
Yeah.
that in some of the clips from that broadcast.
And I think there's a lot that goes into that, right? Like like you said, it's an April start. Guys are on pitch limits. You're going to go through a lot of pitchers anyways. You're not going to have your starter basically at any level now go 7 innings, but like especially at single A. And without, you know, rookie ball in the Appalachian League or some of these other rookie ball levels that used to exist, there's no half step between the Complex League and the Florida State League. So some of these guys are getting kind of thrown in the deep end of full season ball pretty early in the season, might not have their control yet. I mean, kudos to the hitters for like not expanding the zone, but you can see some rough numbers even in the Florida State League. That's a pitchers league because of that, dearth of quality pitching early in the year.
Yeah, and just wait till the DSL, the Dominican Summer League starts, and then you get
Yeah.
some of the craziest box scores of the minor league
We're always
season.
guaranteed to get somebody throws a no hitter and loses.
Yeah. Or a game that's
so-
final score is like 33-2, something like
Yeah.
that.
My favorite is that because there are split affiliates in the DSL, you'll have like the DSL Yankees no hit, the DSL Yankees.
Yes, that has happened.
That always makes for a fun headline.
Yeah, you have to cue the pointing Spider-Man meme, like Yankees no hit Yankees. A lot of the items in this column really help with video, so I'll skip, most of those. And this one went viral. Maybe we even talked about it before, but how about that Portland Hartford game in April? April 18th. In the top and bottom of the 4th inning, there were both 5-6-3 putouts where it bounced off the third baseman's glove, went to the shortstop, and threw him out at first base. It happens in the top of the 4th and the bottom of the 4th. In each instance, there was an 0-1 count on the batter, and it was on a pitch that was thrown at 83 miles an hour. And it's just wild. We have a split screen video of it. You might have seen this because it did go viral. But you look at these two plays, and they're just basically identical. A 5-6-3 put out on an 0-1 count with 1 out in the inning on an 83 mile an hour pitch.
In the same inning. It'd be
the same
weird enough
inning,
if it
top
happened
of
in
the
the
4th
same
and the
game.
bottom of the 4th.
Be weird enough if
One
it
out,
happened
0-1.
in the same, week of minor league baseball, but it happened in the same game in the same inning. And they are like shockingly similar looking. Hartford gets the out. Their third baseman kind of cuts across in front of the shortstop, but deflects the ball basically the exact same way. And that's like the only difference in these two videos. And the split screen video is fantastic for it, as Ben noted.
The way I stave off thinking like we're all in the Matrix and this is just, cracks in the code.
Oh, see, I find it very comforting to think we're all in the Matrix. At least it's like,
sure.
wow, we're not making all these poor decisions ourselves.
Well, sure. Choose your own path on this. I just think that the history of baseball is very, very long, and stuff like this is just bound to happen with the amount of games you play.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But we just get to witness it. Like maybe this happened in a game in 1912.
This is the monkeys in the room with the typewriter writing Shakespeare.
I was just thinking the exact same thing. Yeah. You play enough baseball games, enough weird stuff is going to happen. But to witness it on this level is pretty cool. And it makes baseball all the more exciting because you don't know if you're going to show up and that's going to be the day that something like that happens.
But yeah, one of the most biggest cliches in the game, a variation of what Sam just said. You never know what you're going to see. And
A much more concise version of what I
yeah, but it is true. It is true. It is what's the word? Hoary old chestnut, but it makes sense. That's always been since I was a little kid. Part of the motivation for always wanting to watch a game. When I was watching like bad Phillies teams in the late 80s and early 90s as a little kid, I was just like fascinated by that. I don't care if this is the last place team. This is my team, and you just might watch a game that has something I'll remember for the rest of my life. And it's just like one of the funnest things about it. And it's good to get tapped into that because now that we work in baseball, I mean, we still find joy in baseball, but sometimes it's harder to find that joy because it's also our jobs.
It surrounds us.
It surrounds us at all times. Sometimes I say, get out of here. baseball. Another one that really works better with the video, but should also mention it, the Columbus Clingstones Chattanooga game on April 23rd. Chandler Siegel for the Columbus Clingstones hits a slow roller to shortstop, and he broke his bat hitting this slow roller to shortstop. The bat flies infield, and as the lookout shortstop is just getting ready to field the ball, the bat gets in the ball's path and the ball hits the bat again. That's another just amazing, amazing video.
If you missed, I think 2 weeks ago we edited in the call from
We
that
talked about that
moment.
with Larry Ward.
The
Yes.
hair, the Holy Cats call from Larry Ward. It's very good. Holy Cats.
Yeah, and if you've ever played MVP baseball, it just reminds me of the ramps that they used to have in those mini games.
Yeah, remember those mini games?
Yeah, it would just take off.
Those are
And not
fantastic.
quite the same acceleration off the ramp for the bat there, but it worked.
Yeah. So I'll cut it off there. I end with a little nugget that's not even that crazy because same name batteries happen a lot. Um, but we had Connor and Chase Burns pitching catching duo this year for the Dayton Dragons. Chase Burns as a pitcher and Connor Burns as a catcher. And I bring that up just because I thought Tyler would be proud of the little headline I gave that nugget.
I did. I noticed as I was scrolling through, I was like, oh, this is terrific.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Burns, what's your first name?
Okay, Mr. Burns, what's your first name? I don't know. 7 strikeouts over 3 2/3 innings for Chase Burns and Connor Burns. One, and you should go read Crooked Numbers because it's always one of my favorite things on the sites. One thing after my own heart. And a moment that I'm glad was called out by the opposing team because it's kind of more fun that way. But the Hickory Crawdads posted that their game against the Salem Red Sox was delayed in the top of the 9th inning, and it's a game that Hickory was getting crushed. They were down 12-3, but they got to have a little fun with this. Boston Red Sox prospect Michael Sansone had the wrong jersey on for the Salem Red Sox. He came out of the bullpen, trots in, and as he's walking to the mound, he's wearing a red jersey, and everyone else is wearing navy jerseys. So he had to get a jersey from somebody in the dugout. And we see this happen. Like, this is not a minor league baseball specific thing. We just saw this in the NBA. Buddy Hield was wearing the wrong shorts for the Golden State Warriors in the playoffs the other day and ran by Steve Kerr, and Steve Kerr gave him this look like, what's going on here? But I always love that. I especially love that, like, Michael was obviously just sitting in the bullpen, had a jacket on, and never really thought like, oh, I put the red jersey on today and everybody else has a blue jersey on. So that's a crooked number. That's a crooked nugget after my own heart. That and Hae-Sung Kim, who started his career in the U.S. in the Dodgers organization with the Oklahoma City Comets. His first name translates in Korean to Comet, which is as cool as it gets.
Yeah, you had Comet hitting homers for the Comets. Yeah, and for some reason, Tyler, you're talking about the jersey mishap in Salem there, in the Salem Hickory game. This is a different thing, and it was so early, at least 15 years ago. But we're gonna have to look it up, or if anyone remembers the details, get in touch with us. But there was a pitcher, a relief pitcher, I believe on Birmingham. It was in the Southern League for sure, and he pitched an inning or recorded a couple outs to end the inning, and then he was due to go back and pitch the next inning. In the meantime, when his team was batting, he went to the bathroom, and then he got himself locked in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And so the inning goes to start with him supposed to be pitching, his half of the inning. He's supposed to be back on the mound, and he's not there. And after a little bit, everyone's like, where the hell is our pitcher? And finally it comes out. He's in this like clubhouse or dugout tunnel bathroom, like banging on the door, and they had to bring in a new pitcher and get like, some professional help to free the pitcher from the.
So this was 2007. It was the Mobile Bay Bears.
2007, so early in my career.
Wow. It was the Mobile Bay Bears. The pitcher's name was Matt Elliott, who I had forgotten about this. There is somebody that we know. I think this is Alex Friedman, who is a listener to the show. And Alex is going to hit me up and tell me if this was him or not. But like a longtime friend of the show before the show podcast was on the call in that game, and I can't remember. It was Mobile against Montgomery, and like talked about how he had to tap dance through this bathroom delay. So what happened was Matt Elliott gave up the game tying run, went into the bathroom and slammed the door and jammed the door into the door frame and got
Okay.
himself stuck in the bathroom. So Mobile had to bring in a new pitcher, and the Montgomery Fire Department had to go and like break the door down to get him out.
That is great. Yeah, and Alex Friedman, especially in the early days of this column, I really was on Twitter all the time and in my blog soliciting like broadcasters, especially to send me, their crooked moments. And Alex Friedman was number one crooked numbers contributor for a number of years, and
Just as
always
good of a guy
appreciated
as it
that.
gets, by the way.
Yeah, and hey, Alex, the column's still going. I know we're all in different eras of our lives and careers, but something gets crooked, you know where to find me.
The Crooked Numbers column is up on the site at MLB.com, MILB.com. Man, if it wasn't Alex Friedman, it's going to drive me nuts trying to think of who it was. But anyway, go read the column. Okay, Ben, back from the road, but we have a ballpark to discuss. That was not one of the ones that you visited most recently, but one that you have been to in the relatively recent past. Wisconsin's got a new ballpark feature. Tell us about this.
This is just something I threw on my list of conversation topics because I was wondering if you guys had seen it. But in right field, beyond the right field foul pole, the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers have a 46-foot installation in right field, pretty much like in line with the foul pole. So it's the foul pole, and then if you just keep going down that right field line, there's another 46-foot tall installation. You guys seen it? Do you know what it is?
I feel like we talked about. Is this a
I do
pencil?
not.
Yes, it is a pencil.
Ah.
And it is specifically a Dixon Ticonderoga pencil,
I've
iconic
used
pencil
those.
brand. And I did not know this. I've been to Appleton and I've been to that ballpark in Wisconsin twice, and did not know this. Never noticed it. But Dixon Ticonderoga headquarters is across the street from the Wisconsin Rattlers ballpark, which is now like Neuroscience Group Field is now the name of the ballpark. But pretty cool sponsorship tie-in, pretty cool ballpark installation, a giant pencil towering beyond the right field foul pole.
You
And
know what I think I would have liked is if they just made the foul pole into the pencil.
pencil. Yeah.
Did you
I
do that? You just
wonder,
throw a little eraser on top?
Well, that
Right
was
on the
going to be my
bottom?
next question. Is are we sticking the point in the air? Or are we sticking the eraser in the air?
I feel like the point in the air is risky for air traffic.
yeah, I mean, like it's an eraser the way they have set it up. It's topped with the little pink section of the eraser. Um, yeah, it's not the point on the top. And I don't know, to have people have to climb that and sharpen it would probably be like a
That's true. Yeah, yeah.
pretty big endeavor.
Plus,
So
once like if you could just jab the pencil in, into the foundation, that makes it easy. Then you don't have to worry about the sharpening ever again.
That's
Eraser
probably
makes
what it is.
easier.
Is the point offers an anchor into the ground.
It's Wisconsin. They just got Giannis Antetokounmpo to like large guy. Like you can just jab this pencil in there.
Giannis
I
and
would
the
think.
entire Green Bay Packers offensive line. I think that was the.
Remember
yeah,
when the San Diego Padres had a golf club as their foul pole?
that's what I was going to say. It was I believe it was Dan Magala who set that one up, if I recall correctly. Um, but yeah, they used to have a golf company sponsorship with the foul pole. And if
Yeah.
they made that work in the major league level, maybe you still
Yeah.
can kind of customize the foul poles. I
can
mean, the
dream.
Timber Rattlers do have an ad on their foul pole, just sort of like a banner hanging vertically along the top section of it, Fox Brewing or Fox River Brewing Company. So you can, I guess, put ads on the foul pole. It would be pretty cool if that foul pole was just a pencil, but maybe there are some logistical issues with that.
Could be. And like if
but
it hits the eraser, is that part of the foul pole? Is that
yeah,
there's a
who
whole
knows?
thing there? Yeah,
Yeah, it
that's
did
true.
get me thinking that the Timber Rattlers should have a mascot race based around this sponsorship as well. The pencil racers, be like the pencil erasers, pencil racers.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm working on it.
not bad.
Yeah,
I think it's good. It's
okay.
it's worthy of shopping, work shopping, whatever.
Workshopping,
Then the newsletter coming out as well, and you've got a trip coming up in the not too distant future.
Yeah, my newsletter focuses on the first ballpark I visited this year, the Reading Fightin Phils. I believe I talked about that visit. It also has a link to a video that I was involved in making, but really the mover and shaker and primary producer on the video is Josh Jackson, your friend and mine. Um, and that video is on the Dream League home opener I attended before I went to the Reading Fightin Phils game. The Dream League, a league for people of all ages with physical or mental challenges. And it was real cool to be at that event. I interviewed some of the players, and we got a video that's linked to in the newsletter and a little recap of the Dream League home opener and a night in Reading, Pennsylvania, which remains one of my favorite ballparks. It wasn't something I was planning to say in this newsletter, but as I was writing, I just did because I realized I think it's true. But I believe the Reading Fightin Phils have the best French fries in minor league baseball.
Ooh.
They have a stand on the concourse just called Manny's Fries, and you just order like a regular order or a tub. They got some salt shakers and some vinegar. It's white vinegar, not malt vinegar. And they're just, that's all they do. And it's just like an old school, and they're like thin fries, kind of like more like a McDonald's style fry. And they're making, that's all they make there. So they're always coming out hot and crispy and just wonderful. And it just got me thinking, like you see fries at minor league ballparks, but I've never been to a minor league ballpark. I've seen good fries aplenty, but I don't know if I've ever been to a minor league ballpark and I'm like, oh hell yeah, like the fries are where it's at. The fries are, they're usually not like the a featured type items. So I could be persuaded otherwise, and if anyone has opinions on this, let us know. But I'm gonna go right now with the Reading Fightin Phils for the best French fries in minor league baseball. And I have a lot more about Reading in the newsletter, the Baseball Traveling newsletter. Please subscribe. Please read. Please tell all your friends. And yes, I have another road trip coming up, which I'll talk about next week as well, because I'll still be in town next week. But to review, to get it on your radars for anyone who might be in the area, almost all South Carolina, a detour to North Carolina, May 27th, Greenville Drive, May 28th, Columbia Fireflies, May 29th. That's the detour into North Carolina to see the Carolina Mudcats and Zebulon, I believe is how you say the town name, in their final season at Five County Stadium before moving to nearby Wilson, North Carolina, then back into South Carolina to the Myrtle Beach Pelicans. And finally, then that would be on May 30th and May 31st, the Charleston River Dogs on TP night, Mischief night, in which they will TP the ballpark after the game. So hopefully get some good footage from that endeavor. So May 27th, Greenville Drive, May 28th, Columbia Fireflies, May 29th, Carolina Mudcats, May 30th, Myrtle Beach, and May 31st, Charleston River Dogs. Got the designated eaters selected already. Congrats to those folks. More trips coming up. And since I'm talking about more trips coming up, my trip after that trip is not really a trip. It's a day-long endeavor. And it's in Bridgewater Township, New Jersey, Somerset County, TD Bank Ballpark, Somerset Patriots. I will be there. Tyler Maun will be there. Sam Dykstra will be there for the Somerset Patriots show before the show theme night. Tickets are on sale now, and if you're anywhere near Central New Jersey, listen to this podcast. We would love to have you at the games, say hello, hopefully have a little bit of a sense of community out there with people who show up just to say hello, and establish some connections and enjoy a great night of baseball at the Yankees AA affiliate.
And we have an update about that
Yes.
because they couldn't just do one night, one game on the night of the show before the show night. That was really bad. They had a rain out this week, did the Somerset Patriots. They also pointed out to us that it was, obviously a rain out is a pain, and you hate having rainouts on the minor league calendar. But Dave Merrick, the team president for the Somerset Patriots, pointed out to us that it is the Portland Sea Dogs' 9th rainout of the season already. Portland was in town, 9 rainout. It is the middle of May, and the poor Sea Dogs have dealt with 9 rainouts, which is brutal. But the Sea Dogs are going to be in town when we do our show before the show night at the home of the Somerset Patriots. And so, doubleheader that day. It'll get started at 4 o'clock Eastern time. Game 2 will follow after, obviously, the conclusion of Game 1. There will be a short break in between. So we'll get to be there for multiple baseball games, which is terrific. I'm like even more excited about that than if it was just a regular 7 o'clock start time. Pretty fired up.
Yeah, this was already an extremely minor league event between us being there and it being dollar dog night
Yeah.
and just a host of factors. And now the fact that it's a double header that's stretching out the night as long as possible, I think is the just another nail in that distinction of it being extremely minor league baseball. So, if you can't make game one because it is earlier now, that's fine. Come on out for game two.
Yeah.
We'll probably
Dollar hot dogs during game one, by the way, according to the Patriots official site. I don't know if both games will be dollar hot dogs, but I'm going to challenge my co-hosts to see who can wolf down the most food on that night.
Yeah, and we'll be doing part of the show in the middle of those games, so all the more reason to come out early. And more details on that to come. I mean, one of those being, I mean, we talked a lot about the John Oliver segment last week and how he's not challenging, inviting teams to potentially rebrand and all that jazz. And kind of out of that spirit, we might come up with an in between innings contest of some sort that we can run ourselves in Somerset. We're still coming up with some ideas, and obviously we have to run it past the Patriots themselves. But if you have ideas that you would like to see us do on show before the show night,
Yes.
With the Patriots, email us at podcast@milb.com. I'll make sure Ben gets the email, whether we get him on the listserv today or it has to be me forwarding it. I will remember to do it. But we welcome all suggestions, and we'll have cameras there to film all this stuff, and we'll share it with you guys either on the pod or on videos or all sorts of stuff. So we want you guys incorporated into this as well. So send us any ideas you have.
By the way, this is it's a first for us that we're having a team that is honoring the show before the show podcast. And we're pretty fired up about that. They refer to our podcast as popular in their description of it in the promo calendar. So we got a lot of pressure to live up to. And I'm hiding behind Sam. As far as popular things go, there's no human being out there who dislikes Sam Dykstra. There are people who come on this show regularly who I think don't like me. So
Tyler, you're beautiful.
I am beautiful. What can I say about that? By the way, John Oliver, last week tonight, they posted on Blue Sky the other day, quote, "Wow, thanks to all of the minor league baseball teams who have, for some reason, expressed interest in letting us give them a rebrand, which, again, they'll get no input in. Your ability to trust is unparalleled. We're going through all your submissions, and we'll have more news soon." So that's something for us to follow and keep in mind.
I emailed that same email address as well, just because I was pretty psyched they used so much of my material on the show, and I was just like, hey, if you need a consultant or just want to promote the career for some reason of a humble minor league baseball writer who clearly your writing staff engages with my work, or at least certainly did in the creation of that segment, hook me up. Fuel my ego. I need some help.
That was just the subject line.
Yeah, it was. It basically
Fuel
was.
my ego.
Fuel my ego. I need some help.
Said,
That's basically what it was.
Friendship ended with Jason Stark. Friendship began with. And we told whoever listens, we know somebody in that Last Week Tonight office tunes into the show before the show podcast. They never got in touch. Jerks. I don't know. Maybe it was John McKay. Maybe he's sending along the cat names. You never know. But you can submit your ideas for a promo or a contest or something fun for us to do. Podcast@milb.com. This segment, as always, is presented by the good folks at Circle K, the official convenience store of minor league baseball, behind our segment with the Benjamin Hill. And Ben, enjoy. Well, we'll talk to you before the next trip. But enjoy the next trip, but we'll talk to you before the next trip anyway.
Yeah, I'll talk to you next week, and I'll say all this again because no better content than repetition. And yeah, I'll be back next week saying the same things, but also saying new things. And that's the most important thing. I spoke about my trip on April 19th to see the Reading Fightin' Phils at First Energy Stadium. And while I was at that fine ballpark in the recently renovated, or not just renovated, recently built clubhouse areas that are now in the outfield with a huge event center on top, when I was out in that new, beautiful, bounteous area, I talked to two Reading Fightin Phils players. Now, I will admit, I didn't know too much about these players. And sometimes when I do player interviews, I'm just sort of asking in real time the broadcaster, like, hey, who's available? Who might want to talk to me? So maybe that'll make this more endearing. The first was pitcher Braeden Fausnaught, Fausnaught, who is a native of Danville, Pennsylvania, not too far from Reading. He has a name of Pennsylvania Dutch origins. And the Reading Fightin Phils are the AA Phillies affiliate. And his last name, again, this pitcher, Braeden Fausnaught, if he gets promoted to AAA, he'll go to Lehigh Valley nearby, and they have an alternate identity that is Fausnaught. And it's derived from the same word, same Pennsylvania Dutch origins. It means donut. So that was part of my questioning to him, is like, hey, you're a Pennsylvania guy with a PA Dutch background, and you might play for a team that suits up as the Pennsylvania Dutch, i.e. German word for donut. And the origins of that word is it actually translates to fast night, and you eat those donuts on the night before Lent. So you're actually not fasting that night, but fast night became the name for the donuts writ large. Anyway, pitcher Braeden Fausnaught, Danville, Pennsylvania native, talking to me in Reading, Pennsylvania. All right, so let's start your last name and make sure I pronounce it right. It's
Fausnaught.
Fausnaught.
Yeah.
And I'm a Pennsylvania guy myself, but I learned about Fausnaught, or a word like that, through the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, and they have an alternate identity based around a donut.
Yep.
Does your last name have those same roots, or does your last name mean donut?
Yeah, it means donut. It's spelled different, but yeah, my family and I used to celebrate Fausnaught Day, Fat Tuesday, which is the day before Ash Wednesday, so it's pretty cool growing up.
So a Fausnaught, am I saying it right?
Yep,
Fausnaught, yeah. It's a donut, but what makes it not just a donut? What makes it a Fausnaught?
Potato donut.
Potato donut.
Yeah, my grandma used to make fresh ones every Fausnaught Day.
Yeah, so you grew up, we're playing in Reading now, and you grew up not too far from here?
No, hour and a half from here, from Danville, PA.
Danville, PA. So what is Danville, PA like? That's a pretty small town?
Yeah, small town. A little more modern, I'd say, with the hospital being the main thing, of main source of revenue, and healthcare being the main thing in town. So
yeah. But your name, and I guess maybe a lot of people from that area, is like a Pennsylvania Dutch background?
Pennsylvania Dutch. A lot of people there from that background. So.
Yeah, so scrapple for breakfast, is that kind of
Scrapple, yep. I've had scrapple a fair amount of times. Yeah, scrapple, pierogies, halushki, other Polish and German and Dutch dishes, foods.
Yeah. Do you think they should serve the Fausnaughts at the ballpark and
that would be awesome.
tie it in with you?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Fausnaught or something like that?
Yeah, that would be great.
What would your special be? I mean, would it be, what type of Fausnaught would it be?
I don't know. It might just be like a plain one with either powdered sugar on it or glaze. Just a plain donut, pretty much.
All right, so you're a donut guy, but you're a professional baseball player as well. I guess we should maybe get into that a little bit. Yeah, left-handed pitcher. I mean, I assume you grew up playing the game. Phillies fan. What was your pathway to sports and baseball specifically?
Yeah, I grew up playing the game with I got one older brother, one younger. My grandfather used to take us to the Little League field, the local field, all the time when we were younger, and just watching my older brother play. It was a lot of fun. And then, I grew up a Phillies fan. Phillies, everything sports, pretty much. Flyers, Phillies. So it's been awesome to be able to be a part of this organization and growing up watching some of the guys that I did. Cole Hamels, Cliff Lee, Roy Halladay, all those guys in their prime. That was pretty cool.
So were pitchers always your focus because you were a pitcher, or did that make you maybe think that you wanted to be a pitcher?
I think that made me think I wanted to be a pitcher because I didn't really start pitching much until I was like about 13, 14. So.
Nice. And at what point, as a baseball player, you're a professional now, so I'm sure you're excelling from a young age, but at what point did you realize this can keep going? I can get drafted, I can play professionally?
I think probably my sophomore year, I went to a junior college out of high school, which our high school baseball team was competitive for our area, and I'd say I was pretty good for our area, but compared to some other kids, I was a little bit behind the curve. I threw sub 80 miles an hour in high school, so then when I got to junior college, I jumped about 10 miles an hour my sophomore year, and that's when I kind of realized, like, hey, keep developing and keep playing the game and learning and keep getting guys out was the main thing for me, and maybe I'll give myself a chance to play professionally.
Yeah, and are there any pitchers you consider yourself in the mold of, Phillies or otherwise?
Not really. It's hard to say. I like picking different guys' brains and asking questions, but still want to be my own pitcher and my own self, and figure out how my body works.
Yeah, and obviously it's a dream to get drafted by a major league organization, but what was it like for you, and I'm sure your family and friends, that you weren't just drafted, but it was the Phillies?
Yeah, that was really cool, and not even being drafted. It was a little
right.
more stressful being signed as an undrafted free agent.
Yeah, signed by the Phillies.
But yeah, that was a really cool experience. I was at the gym trying to figure out if I didn't get called by anybody, what I would do. And it would just so happen to be the Phillies, so that was a dream come true. Didn't finish that workout. Needless to say, I was pretty amped up, so yeah.
Yeah, now did you go to any Reading games growing up?
Yeah, I came a few times with my dad, so it's a cool place to be. It's a historic ballpark, and being a part of the Pennsylvania culture, and it's really nice. Now, completely renovated everything here in the clubhouse, so it's been amazing, and then you have all the resources available to you.
Yeah, and I guess one of the most cliche questions about playing in Double-A is it's one of the biggest jumps you can make as a professional. What has it been like in Double-A, and what kind of adjustments have you had to make?
Yeah, it's definitely been different because you're facing more experienced hitters and more experienced players. So just them having more experience, you have to learn a little bit faster, make adjustments a little bit quicker from a pitching perspective. So learning that, and then also playing to your strengths, when to play to somebody's weaknesses. It's a chess match, and then you have to go out and execute whatever pitch you decide to throw in that given scenario.
Yeah. And obviously baseball the main focus, but there's a lot of different stuff going on during any game here in baseball town, with the veggie races and specifically the crazy hot dog vendors. Does he have a reputation in the clubhouse? Do you guys pay attention to a man riding an ostrich throwing hot dogs?
Yeah, it's pretty electric in the dugout, knowing every second inning you hear the theme music come on, and there he comes running out from the gate right next to you, and he's screaming and hollering and throwing hot dogs into the stand. It's pretty funny.
You think you can make a request to get him to throw a Fausnaught?
That would be cool. Maybe I can ask him. We can ask him.
All right, we'll try to lobby to make that happen. Well, cool, man. Thanks for speaking with me. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks, man.
When you want your spring break to feel like and your kids' pool day to feel like and your hotel bed to feel like ooh, and room service to feel like, because at Hilton, hospitality feels like
Your cabana's ready. Would you like fresh towels?
it matters where you stay. Book now at Hilton.com. Hilton, for the stay.
Thanks to Braeden for talking to me and putting up with my improvisational interview skills, or lack thereof. And I talked to another guy after that, and that would be infielder Robert Moore, son of longtime Kansas City Royals executive Dayton Moore. So he grew up in the world of baseball, intelligent guy. And, once again, riffing through an interview with a Reading Fightin Phils player, Robert Moore. Well, I guess I'll start with the most obvious question, and probably the question you get all the time is, your dad is Dayton Moore. You grew up in the game of baseball. You got a unique baseball perspective from a very young age. Did you always know you wanted to stay in the game of baseball?
I mean, baseball's something our family's always known. When I was born, my dad was with the Braves, and then he came over to Kansas City in June 2006, and we've lived in Kansas City ever since. And now he's with the Rangers. It's his third year with the Rangers. So growing up, baseball is kind of all I've ever known in our family. So I don't know if I necessarily had a choice to play anything else, but that's what I chose.
Did you ever think in that kind of typical youthful rebellion way, like, nah, like, baseball is your game, I'm doing my own thing, or was it just too ingrained? Like...
No, I've always fell in love with baseball. My mom was a big baseball fan. She would always put the ball on the tee for me and, put on The Natural for me to watch every day, even as I was 3-4 years old. So, I've always loved baseball.
Is The Natural your favorite baseball movie? Or
I think it's got to be, yeah.
Nice. Talking to a couple people about you earlier, you're like a real focused individual, cerebral, I believe is the word that's used. I mean, do you consider yourself that type of player in terms of how you approach the game and, more analytical or always thinking of kind of different things to approach?
Sure. I mean, I'm not 6'6", so I guess I kind of have to approach it that way. Every single year I played professional baseball, you just learn more and more, learn more about yourself, and just how to apply different things, especially in the batter's box.
Now I'm trying to remember what I heard earlier, but maybe spend time on the field, kind of visualizing what's going to happen, or something like that. I forget who told me what.
Cade Fergus caught me last year when no one was around, taking dry swings at home plate.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
that's not a common thing. That was a one-time thing.
Oh, okay. So that's not
wrong person, wrong time.
Yeah. So it's not necessarily a deep part of your routine. Growing up around baseball, but now in the Phillies organization, I mean, what has been your experiences here with the Phillies so far?
This is my second year with the Phillies. I was drafted by the Milwaukee Brewers in 2022, and then traded here 23, I believe, or 24. November 23, I think. Yeah, November 23. So it's my second year here. I've been here longer than I was with my original team now, and this kind of feels like home. So just learning from the org last year, and this year nothing's really surprised me on how we do things from the day-to-day basis.
And what about Reading, Pennsylvania? Was this an area that you had familiarity with before?
I didn't know this place existed.
No.
Until last year. But my parents really like it when they come. We went through all the Amish country and everything, and they really like it.
Nice, yeah. It's a beautiful area of the country. Mm-hmm. What's it like playing in this ballpark? They call it such a classic ballpark, baseball town, USA. Do you kind of feed off that sort of energy?
No, it's truthfully a really pretty ballpark, especially when you're on the field. Dan does an unbelievable job taking care of the grounds crew and the field. But it's a pretty ballpark. Whenever you look at the schedule, you always want to be home, especially in this league. It's a good place to hit. So I love playing in Reading.
Yeah. So you always want to be home, love playing in Reading, but obviously you're on the road quite a bit, working your way through the schedule. If you're not in Reading, what Eastern League city would you most want to be in?
Hartford's got the best stadium. Portland's got the best city. It's a horrible trip, though. I really like Somerset.
Somerset, yeah. Central Jersey, yeah.
It's only about an hour and a half away. If you have no time, you go to New York City. And it's kind of a neat little ballpark, especially in the summer when they draw well. I like Somerset a lot.
Nice. And then here in Reading, I always feel compelled to ask everyone about the crazy hot dog vendor, because it's such a unique thing. What's your reaction to a man riding an ostrich and throwing hot dogs into the crowd?
Who wants a meat missile?
Yeah.
I think it's one of the most unique things I've ever been around. I'll say that. I'll miss that when I'm done playing in Reading.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, how could you not? And And then obviously going back to where this started and growing up around baseball and your dad being so involved in the game, are you in touch all the time, with him, with your family, processing your experiences, in the professional ranks, or do you want a little distance trying to carve out your own path?
I probably text my mom probably 2 or 3 times a day, text and call my sisters maybe 2 or 3 times a day, and then I'll probably text and call my dad anywhere between 5 and 7 times a day. So we're in contact a lot.
All right, so we'd say pretty involved, I guess would be the answer to that. Yeah. And I'm sure there are various perspectives. I mean, you wouldn't be in touch that much if that didn't help in some way, shape, or form. Do you still watch The Natural on a regular basis?
Not on a regular basis. Maybe once a year.
Okay.
If I'm talking to someone and they haven't seen it, I'm like, all right, we gotta watch The Natural together. But other than that, probably not.
No, just keep it on the back burner for now.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
We have hit our very first top 100 prospects refresh of the 2025 season as players who began the 2025 season on Major League Opening Day rosters exceeded 45 days of service time on May 11th and thus exhausted their rookie eligibility / prospect status. And that is where we saw some graduations from the top 100, including Boston Red Sox second baseman Christian Campbell, Houston Astros outfielder Cam Smith, Atlanta catcher Drake Baldwin, and Dodgers right-hander and the former top overall prospect in baseball, Roki Sasaki, who actually graduated a little bit early because his team got the season started several days earlier than everybody else with those games in Tokyo. So, time for changes on the top 100, and here to talk about all of it is the man who may know it better than anyone else, and that is Sam Dykstra. Sam, last week we previewed some of the big risers on the top 100. We have a new top overall prospect in baseball. We have maybe kind of an eyebrow raiser at number 2, but give us the overarching rising themes of this new top 100.
Yeah, so the way we do these what we call market corrections is we're not trying to make like sweeping changes, right? We're not looking at every single guy and being like, oh, he's 33 now. We don't revote on the top 100 completely. We take what we have. Like you said, after those graduations this year was on May 11th, the guys graduated because of service time. So never a better time to do a market correction. A bunch of guys were coming off. Let's, instead of just adding 3 new names off, let's give it a quick sprucing up. So we do completely revote on the top 15. That's just the cutoff we've done the last few years. Top 15, brand new vote. After that, we move guys up or down 10 spots, depending on how they've done early in the year or injuries or whatever. But we only try to move them up or down 10. So if we're like, oh, this guy's slightly better, or we like what we've seen, but not enough to jump them 10, we just leave them as is. And then there are some guys we take off the list completely because of, again, downturn in performance, really something significant, which it kind of has to be because we're basically 6 weeks. It's not a huge sample size yet, but if there's some real concern that we have, and we had that with a few guys, then we'll take them off the list completely. Once that happens, then we realize how many names we need left or how many openings we have left. We fill that in with some new names. So it's a fresh coat. It's not a completely new construction, but it's something to acknowledge what we've seen earlier in the year and give everybody something new to reference. And it's a good piece of content because it reflects the changes of the industry, right? Like there are trades to go down right now. Teams would view certain players differently than they would previously. They would value them differently. So we want that reflected as best we can without having to do a massive lift of a new top 100. So like you said, some of the themes that stand out to me, highest risers on the list to begin the year, George Lombard Jr. of the New York Yankees, somebody who's already climbed from high A to double A. we were hearing good things about him in spring training, that he was showing up stronger. His batting stance looked a little bit more relaxed. And he's already an exceptionally good defender at shortstop. He was the first guy we added to the top 100 who wasn't on the preseason list. We jumped him 49 spots from 93 to 44. So now he's a top 50 prospect, already at Double A. He's one of, I think we talked about this last week, but he's one of two 19-year-olds ever to get a hit for the Somerset Patriots, the other being Jason Dominguez. And that fact alone isn't what jumped him nearly 50 spots, but it just indicates how aggressive the Yankees have been with him to this point. Jesus Made, if you listen to this program at all, the last 2 years, you know I'm a big Jesus Made fan. We jumped him 26 spots from 49 to 23. He's somebody who skipped over the complex league completely, has opened the year at Single A Carolina, continuing to hit the ball hard, can hit for a pretty decent average, playing a lot of shortstop, mixing in some third base. So again, a lot to like with Jesus Made. I feel like the next time we do this, he's going to be in our top 15. It's just at the time we voted, it was about 100 at bats. And how much stock do you put in 100 at bats? I mean, I was talking to Jim Callis, my colleague, about this, and he said, "Yeah, we can jump him up now." And I get your enthusiasm. If he's bad over the next 100 at bats, I reserve the right to move him down again, which is not obviously something I would like, but like that's just how sample sizes work. So I understand it. You don't want to get overly aggressive on somebody this young because so much could still happen in their careers. But Jesus Made is ticking all the boxes so far. Third highest climber was Zaire Hope, outfield Los Angeles Dodgers, somebody who dealt with injuries last year. We saw him really well in the Arizona Fall League. He's been at High A Great Lakes to begin this year. Got off to a really strong start, tapered off a little bit, but still hits the ball hard, making generally pretty good swing decisions. Plays a good center field. Now he's maybe in the most loaded outfield group we have in the minor leagues. Josue DePaula is also on that team. Mike Soroka. They just called up. They were somebody they acquired from the Cincinnati Reds in the offseason in that Gavin Lux deal. And then there's also Kendall George is another outfielder. So they're going to rotate through a lot of guys at High A Great Lakes, but I think Hope and DePaula are right there for like highest ceiling. DePaula is actually a little bit younger. But Sirota, I said Soroka before. Sirota, Mike Sirota out of Northeastern. That's a really interesting addition. So keep an eye on that Great Lakes team. And then just to round out the group of five highest risers, both guys climbed up 19 spots. Arjun Nimmala, shortstop of the Blue Jays, went from 78 to 59, and Jacob Misiorowski, right-hander for the Brewers, went from 91 to 72. Nimmala, we saw him really do well last year after a midseason break at Single A Dunedin. Started to really hit for power. We thought he was going to be a power hitter coming out of high school, but really tapped into that in the second half and has carried those adjustments with him to the first half of this year at High A Vancouver, giving us added confidence that all of these changes are real. It wasn't a blip last year. And then Jacob Misiorowski, somebody who opened the year for us at number 100 and moved up to 91 because of some other graduations. But basically, we thought like he might be a future reliever. He's got some real serious command and control issues. He's at AAA now. It seemed like the Brewers were considering him for a bullpen spot at the end of last year. Didn't quite work out that way. They moved him back to the Nashville rotation to begin this year. I think 3 of his last 4 starts have had 1 walk or fewer. So he's really improved that command. I think part of that is he's really leaning into his fastball, just realizing it's a potential 80 grade pitch. He gets great extension. That's the pitch he commands best. Guys aren't touching it. So just blow it past them and use his curveball, his slider, and the changeup that he's working on now to kind of play off that. Yeah, they may not be in the zone as much, but like use that for chase to finish guys off, but blow the hitter past the fastball past them early. We'll see how this sticks. But Misiorowski certainly trending toward an MLB debut soon. And the Brewers have had some pitching injuries last few weeks and have turned to Logan Henderson this week. So Misiorowski might not be far off himself. Some other ones I'll just highlight in terms of guys who dropped off the list completely. Those were Colson Montgomery of the Chicago White Sox, James Triantos of the Chicago Cubs, and Tink Hence of the St. Louis Cardinals. Colson Montgomery, we've been high on for a while, but he was already coming off a down year at AAA Charlotte. He slugged just 381, which is an issue for a guy who his best asset is supposed to be his plus power. But he was only 22 for the entire season, heads back to Charlotte this year, and then was striking out 41.7% of the time and through his first 23 games. The White Sox actually sent him back to the complex in Arizona to work on some adjustments at the plate. It sounded like part of it was posture, maybe, just fine tune some things. And, he still has not conquered AAA. Like, he got a couple of hits in his return to Charlotte this week. It's good to see. But given all the problems he's had and the way he's stalled out, and even more so to begin this year, we thought he should hit his way back onto the top 100. James Triantos has always had really good bat to ball skills and above average speed, but the power is just not coming through, and the overall hit tool is struggling too. Like, he's going to have to hit at AAA, and he's just not doing that. And for somebody with defensive questions, again, and somebody who should perform his way back on. And then Tink Hence, I liked Tink Hence for a while now, 63rd overall pick in 2020, but has just struggled to stay healthy. He only threw 79 and 2/3 innings last year in 2024, then had a right rib cage strain before the season began. He's been on the 60-day IL since late March. The stuff has always been there. The guy just is trending towards a reliever because he can't prove that he can throw 120 innings in a season. So he might not prove that until he's a major leaguer and well off this list, but it's just harder to make a case for him, given the lack of health that we've seen the last few years. So Tink Hence comes off, and we added a few names on. We're going to continue to do this as more graduations happen. We tend to do market corrections every 6 weeks. So I guess that would put us at the end of June, right before the draft happens, early July. Keep an eye out for the next one. There's already guys that I'm thinking like, man, I would like to get him on the list, or man, he should probably come off, but we'll talk about that more down the line. But at least it's in a slightly better shape than if we had just left it as is.
All right, Sam. Well, we did have some promotions to the big leagues from top 100 guys in recent days, including, I believe, the most recent one of a top 100 guy was Moises Ballesteros, who was back up with the Chicago Cubs, but also the number 4 overall prospect in baseball, Jordan Lawler, up with the Arizona Diamondbacks, and baseball's number 15, Dalton Rushing, who joins the Los Angeles Dodgers. Your reactions to those news items?
Yeah, all three of them are really interesting because all three of them hit their way to the majors. Jordan Lawler had already debuted in the majors back in 2023, had thumb in last year, never made it back to Arizona because of that. But Rushing and Ballesteros coming up for the first time. But all three of these guys, like, they're not perfect fits on their major league rosters right now. Jordan Lawler was drafted as a shortstop, had primarily played shortstop his entire career. Then the D-backs signed Geraldo Perdomo to an extension before the season begins, and then you're like, okay, well, Lawler's going to have to move around. They were already planning to get him time at third base and second base, and they've done that. He's primarily played second, but they called him up because they're like, he doesn't have anything left to prove. The D-backs are like, we're in a loaded NL West situation right now, minus the Rockies side. Sorry, Tyler. But the Dodgers, Giants, Padres, D-backs, all 4 of those teams want to make the postseason, and they can't afford to fall behind if they have a guy was leading the minor league in hits. He had tons of extra base hits. He's a plus runner. Like, even if he's a super utility guy to start, you don't want to leave that guy in AAA when he's basically wasting at bats. So it sounds like the plan is to try to get him a start 4 days a week, move him around second base, shortstop, and third. Eugenio Suarez has been among the major league leaders in home runs. He had that 4-homer game, but he's obviously on the wrong side of his aging curve. Ketel Marte has been dealing with injuries to start the year. They're getting him more regular playing time now, but he might need a blow a few times a week, plugging Jordan Lawler at second base. So they'll figure it out there in Arizona. For the Dodgers and Dalton Rushing, the Dodgers DFA'd Austin Barnes to make this happen. Austin Barnes has been their most tenured position player.
Yeah, which is wild.
It's crazy to think about how long he's been there, but they just pulled the plug and they were like, hey, we realize you're our backup catcher. It's just not working. And we've got this guy who we moved up to number 15 on our list, Dalton Rushing, who is crushing the ball at AAA Oklahoma City. Somebody who's repeating that level at 24 years old. He hits for power. He's an athletic catcher as well. They had started getting him more time at first base, but like, you're not moving Freddie Freeman off first base. And he had played a little bit of outfield as well. It sounds like they are just using him as a catcher in the major leagues. yes, I would like to see him get every day at bats if he's going to get that call. But again, the Dodgers can't afford to be carrying Austin Barnes just because of seniority if rushing is the better backup. And who knows? I mean, catching is a difficult position. You never know what will happen with Will Smith. So get rushing up there for the first time. It sounds like he's going to catch maybe 2 days a week, but just keep an eye on that. He's also somebody who could easily DH for the Dodgers. And then Ballesteros, I've long said with him, even when he was called up to AAA last year, he's a AAA hitter. He's a AA catcher. Now he might still be a AA catcher, but he's a major league hitter. Was leading the minor leagues in a host of categories for a very long time in Iowa, which is a very loaded lineup in its own right. And I think like he's probably going to be their DH. I just don't think he's good enough defensively to catch. He's very small, so he's not exactly somebody you can just be like, hey, let's just move him over to first base. Our own, I'll just give him a shout out again. Jim Callis had this great nugget about Ballesteros. He measures in at 5'8". There's been no big leaguer 5'8" or shorter who's played 100 games in a season at first base since Joe Judge in 1930.
What? 1930?
Yeah.
Wow.
1930. So, I mean, these are going off official measurements for a while. If you were 5'8", they might be like, no, you're 5'10". Like, that's fine if you're going to be first base. So we don't know, like, there may have been somebody else to do it, but he's just not a natural fit anywhere right now. And he kind of needs the reps behind the plate. But again, the Cubs have big aspirations this year. If they have a guy who's ready for the major leagues right now with the bat, call him up and see how it goes. So expect Ballesteros to get a lot of at bats with the Cubs. It's just fascinating that all three of these guys get called up in the same week. But I like that over them just being in AAA because like, oh, we're waiting for the injury that may never come. Like if you're ready, you're ready. And these guys were all ready.
So you can find all of the new info on the updated top 100 at MLB.com/pipeline. And coming up, we will say goodbye on this week's episode with a name that dude that may be a confounding one. It's all ahead as the show before the show continues next. Well, final segment on this week's episode of the Show Before the Show podcast. Huge thanks to the Reading Fightin Phils fellas who joined us just a little while ago. Of course, you can check out Sam's work in the top 100 refresh, the changes at MLB.com, at MLB Pipeline. And before we get out of here, 2 items of note. And number 1 is the return of one of my favorite things on the MILB landscape, and that is Clash of the Caps, which is back for 2025. New era Clash of the Caps. You can vote for your favorite minor league caps at MILB.com/Clash of the Caps, all one word. You can vote, you can get registered, you can win a grand prize as one of many prizes. The grand prize is $1,000 to spend at neweracap.com. Clash of the Caps is running from now until June 1st, and it features the home caps from all 120 full season minor league clubs, which will go against each other in 3 rounds of voting to determine the top cap in all of minor league baseball. First round split up by leagues. Then all the league champs are going to face off, and it's going to be outstanding. They're all like, they're all my favorite children. I can't vote for or against any of them. I really don't think. But you can go check those out at MILB.com/Clash of the Caps. And before we get out of here, it is time for the latest edition of the game show craze that has swept the nation. It is Name That Dude. This week, I am the dude knower. And Ben and Sam are the dude guessers. And this is one of the dudes that I was like, oh, I got a dude like weeks ago. And I'm glad that I did not forget who the dude was who I was going to use for this. So with that, here we go. This dude was drafted by the Arizona Diamondbacks in the 2001 MLB draft in the 11th round out of the University of Memphis, which I actually did not know about this dude. He made his major league debut 5 years later on April 3rd of 2006. And in between in all of that time as he made his climb through minor league baseball. As noted, he started things in the D-backs organization, and that may not be the team that you know him from necessarily, but he kicked things off in that D-back system and got things started in 2006. You can tell that I'm tap dancing and waiting for his minor league stats to load. But drafted, in 2001, made his debut. I think I just said 2006. He spent 5 years in the D-back system, kicking things off. Saw some time in Yakima with the short season Yakima Bears.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. to the Yakima Bears, who were a Northwest League club, right? They weren't in the Pine.
And moved to Hillsborough and
moved to Hillsborough,
Hops.
where they are now the Hops, the full season Hillsborough Hops in the Northwest League. After seeing some time there, made his climb up the minor league ladder and was headed toward the big league squad in 2005 when he was a Rule 5 selection of the then Florida Marlins. He started 2006 with the Marlins in the major leagues, and the Marlins are the team that you know him from. Well, I guess I shouldn't say that because he spent 5 years with the Marlins, but then spent an additional 3 full seasons and part of another season in Atlanta. Had a very brief stint with the San Francisco Giants in 2014. And in 2015, he finished his career with the Washington Nationals. I really should have had his minor league baseball reference page pulled up because it's not loading, and that makes me really bummed because we're not getting an opportunity to remember all of these stops throughout his minor league career. But let's see if anybody's got a guess first of all before we go into a little bit deeper dive.
So Marlins
started with the Marlins, drafted by the D-backs, started his big league career with the Marlins. He is here. Finally, I went to MILB.com, an actual functioning website today, and we have his minor league stop. So he started in Yakima in 2001. He was then in South Bend in the Midwest League and Lansing in the California League in 2002. 2003, he was back in Lansing. 04,
Lansing is not in the California League.
Lansing in the Midwest.
Sorry, Lancaster, not Lansing. Lancaster.
Yeah,
then in Lancaster again in 2004. Also saw some time in El Paso in 2004. Now, El Paso back then was a Double-A Texas League squad. That was the El Paso Diablos. 2005, he was with a Double-A squad in the D-backs organization, but they had shifted. By that time, they were the Tennessee Smokies. He saw some time in Double-A that year, actually the entire season in Double-A that year. Spent some time in the Fall League in 05, and then never played in Triple-A. Jumped over Triple-A by virtue of being that Rule 5 pick with the D-backs. He is a position player, an infielder.
Oh, position player. I was going all in on Ricky Nolasco.
Oh, Ricky Nolasco would have been a good choice.
Never go all in on the first guess of name that.
All-time Marlins win leader, Ricky Nolasco.
I just want to throw out a note about him, which is from his Wikipedia page. His surname is Swedish in origin. It is one of the most numerous Swedish noble families, and in Swedish it means owl, which I had no idea. But like a pretty notable last name. And like a guy who was, really pretty good throughout his time. He was a Major League All-Star and finished third in Rookie of the Year voting in 2006. He was an All-Star again in 2008. He won a Silver Slugger in 2010 and finished 17th in National League MVP voting. He was an All-Star again in 2012. That final All-Star appearance was with Atlanta. Infielder. Man, I may have stumped you two dudes. I feel good about this.
It means owl in Swedish?
It means owl in Swedish.
Orf.
Yeah, no, it's not. Nate Orf would have.
It is not. It is not Nate Orf.
Ugh.
Did I stump the?
I'm just trying to think of Swedish names now, and
see, and that's the thing. I never would have thought it was Swedish. I don't think anyway. Maybe once I say it, you'll be like, oh, of course, Swedish. Yeah.
Can you give us initials?
D-U.
Dan Uggla.
Dan Uggla. Dan
Yeah.
Uggla, the word owl in Swedish,
Oh,
evidently.
yeah.
Uggla. Who knew? Dan Uggla, now 45 years old. He is 2 months past his 45th birthday. And yeah, like you look back at Dan Uggla's career and it's like, oh, that guy was pretty good. Like I do not remember Dan
I remember
Uggla.
him making a big error in the All-Star game. No, I don't mean to bring. Sorry, Dan. I don't mean to bring up a bad moment, but I do remember watching the All-Star game. That I don't know. You said he was an All-Star. I don't know how many times, but
3 times. 3-time
three
All-Star.
times. One of those, he made a pretty pivotal error in the All-Star game.
06,
I
08, and
remember
2012.
there was a debate in the office when I started this job, which would have been 2012. So this is right around the time.
Prime Dan Uggla. An All-Star
prime
season
Dan
for Dan
Uggla.
Uggla.
Right. Where somebody was trying to make the case that Dan Uggla was on par or on course for a Hall of Fame career. Which, I know second baseman, there aren't a ton. It's a pretty high bar. And right around that time, he had OPS pluses above 100 for his entire career.
Yeah. First
So
6 years in the big
it.
leagues.
Yeah,
and then never again.
But, no, never quite worked out that way for Dan Uggla. Pretty sharp curve downward after that.
18.4 career WAR in 10 years, but he had positive career WAR for his first, looks like 7-8 years in the big leagues, 7 years in the big leagues, and then negative WAR the rest of the way. I did not remember this 4-game cup of coffee for Dan Uggla with the San Francisco Giants. I vaguely kind of remember him playing 2015. He only played 67 games, but his last season he played 67 games with the Washington Nationals. But yeah, you think about, and those are that fun era of Marlins teams, which is like kind of a weird thing to say, but like Joe Girardi was, he was the manager on that team. They had like Miguel Cabrera and Hanley Ramirez and Dontrell Willis, the D Train. Dan Uggla was good. Like there were some fun dudes on those Marlins teams for a while.
Yeah. I mean, and then that continued into Giancarlo Stanton and Christian Yelich.
Yeah.
And Jose Fernandez. They've always had some
Ricky Nolasco.
Ricky Nolasco.
Ben just going to slip in Ricky Nolasco.
You guys know the legend of Ricky Nolasco. So yeah, there you go. Dan Uggla. Welcome back to a baseball conversation this week, Dan Uggla. We hope wherever you are, you're doing well. And maybe learning about owls. I don't know. All right. So that'll do it for this week's episode of the Show Before the Show. But get in touch with this podcast at MILB.com if you have a fun contest, promotional idea for the Show Before the Show night. Our 2 games, our doubleheader in Somerset, New Jersey, not in Somerset, in Bridgewater Township, but Somerset. Somerset's the county, right?
The county.
County, okay. Get in touch with this podcast at MILB.com and vote for your favorite hat through New Era's Clash of the Caps at MILB.com/Clash of the Caps. And that'll do it for this week's episode. For Benjamin Hill, for Sam Dykstra, my name is Tyler Maughan. We'll catch you next week.